Photo Washington. President Trump's top economist argued in a report issued on Monday that corporate tax cuts being pushed by Republicans would increase a typical household's income by between $3,000 and $7,000 a year, hinting at a primary argument the administration will make in drafting and selling its tax plan. Mr. Trump has endorsed a framework tax proposal, along with Republican leaders in Congress, that would reduce the top corporate rate to 20%, from 35%. While the administration says that such a cut is the best way to give workers a raise, many economists have called the administration's claims overly optimistic. In a sign of how heavily the administration will lean on the argument, the president said last week in a speech in Pennsylvania that the proposal would likely give the typical American household a $4,000 pay raise, citing his Council of Economic Advisors. Advertisement. Continue reading the main story. The council is led by Kevin Hassett, an economist whose academic work has argued that high corporate tax rates hurt workers, and that when those tax rates fall, worker incomes rise sharply. The Monday report is the council's first published study on the potential effects of the tax proposal. Continue reading the main story. President Trump's tax plan. Complete coverage of President Trump's sweeping plan to cut federal taxes. Mnuchin says a state tax repeal will help rich people most. October 13, tax reform that doesn't bust the budget. I've got a few ideas. October 5, Republicans are reconsidering full repeal of state and local tax deduction. October 3, tax cuts sold as fuel for growth widen gap between rich and poor. October 3, under Trump's plan, tax cuts shrink over time for everyone but the richest. September 29, see more. It does not attempt to analyze the full Republican proposal, which still lacks key details on the income ranges for tax brackets, the rules to qualify for certain lower business tax rates, and how to prevent multinational corporations from avoiding taxes by channeling profits to ultra-low tax countries. Photo. Instead, it focuses on one detail that Mr. Trump has insisted is not negotiable: the reduction in the top corporate income tax rate. The report draws heavily on several economic studies that find similar results to Mr. Hassett's, that the so-called incidence of corporate taxation falls mainly on workers, meaning they have much to gain if such rates are cut. It concludes that if the corporate rate were cut to 20%, the median American household, which earns just under $60,000 a year, would earn between $3,000 and $7,000 more than it otherwise would have. Mr. Hassett said in a conference call with reporters that those gains could be even larger than the calculations suggest, because America's broken corporate tax system creates incentives for firms to hold their profits outside our borders. The administration contends that those incentives have depressed wages for decades. The report begins with a declaration that wage growth in America has stagnated, even as corporate profits have soared, because the relationship between corporate profits and worker compensation broke down in the late 1980s. The report asserts that reducing the corporate rate will repair that relationship, encouraging companies to invest heavily in domestic machinery, computers and other equipment that will help workers produce more with the same amount of time on the job. That productivity increase, Mr. Hassett said, would lead companies to pay their workers more. Other researchers have expressed doubts that businesses would pass tax savings on to their workers in the form of pay increases. A 2012 Treasury Department study, which the department recently removed from its website, found that less than a fifth of the corporate tax falls on workers. A Congressional Research Service report last month concluded that the effects of corporate taxes fell largely on high-income Americans, not average workers. Continue reading the main story. Related coverage in Pennsylvania. Trump hunts for Democratic support for tax plan. October 11, 2017. Trump proposes the most sweeping tax overhaul in decades. September 27, 2017. Graphic. Under Trump's plan, tax cuts shrink over time for everyone but the richest. September 29, 2017. Graphic. Trump could save more than $1 billion under his new tax plan. September 28, 2017. We're interested in your feedback on this page. Tell us what you think.